Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. You know, at Trillium we have a simple teaching. It goes like this: God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love. God is only love. God is only love. And therefore you and I, we can only be love ourselves. We're extensions of the Creator's mind and heart this day, and we are only meant, and we can only be love in truth. This is the fundamental teaching that we believe that Jesus taught his disciples, that God is love. God is only love, and therefore, because God is only love, we can only be love, and we're meant to live in this singularity of love in our day-to-day existence. You know, we're not meant to pursue as our first priority big property or big salaries or especially attractive looking spouses or amazing holidays. Nothing wrong with them, but that is not the purpose of our life. The purpose of our lives is to give expression to the singularity of love that is God and who is also us. We are extensions of this love, and we're meant to love each other in this extension. Sadly, we don't normally live our lives from this singularity of love. In our day-to-day existence, we're caught up with a multiplicity of loyalties and commitments and ambition in our lives. And yet the truth, of course, is that we are called back always in our hearts to the singularity of our love. This is what Jesus teaches his disciples, the singularity of God as love, and the singularity of our own lives committed to the purposes of love. And Jesus' one teaching and his one commandment in the Gospel of John is that we are to love one another. That's his only commandment in the Gospel of John to his followers. We are to love one another. And he may say in another spot, we're to love one another just as he has loved us, he says. And this is the purpose of our lives as followers of Jesus, to come back home to the truth of the singularity and the purpose of love in our lives. You know, in the New Testament, love is talked about in a very different way than the world talks about it. I've mentioned in the past those 4 words in Greek that refer to love. The Greeks were more attentive to the details of love. There's storge. Storge is that visceral love that parents have to protect their children. And we understand that. And then there's eros. This is the love based on attraction, the attraction of opposites, the attraction based on beauty, the mystery of this attraction. We get the word erotic from it. And we understand this kind of love as well. And then there's a third kind of love for the Greeks, philos, the love based on camaraderie or shared experience. We sometimes translate it as brotherly or sisterly love. And we understand this kind of love as well. But interestingly, the New Testament picks this other category of love called agape. He uses this term agape to describe a love that even the Greeks didn't really understand, and we who live 2,000 years later don't really understand it as well. It's a radical love. It's a love that's so radical and yet so much a part of us. We could translate it perhaps as unconditional love or total love or true love, unlimited love, undivided love, perfect love. God is but perfect love, and therefore so am I. You and me were perfect love this day. It's more than just an idea. It's meant to be expressed in our lives. It's meant to be given expression in our day-to-day living with each other. Jesus talks a lot about the fruit on the tree, and fruit being the expression of the life of the plant. You know, the roots and the plant's purpose is to give expression to the fruit or the flower that is meant to blossom in life. That whole plant is geared to give expression to this reality of the fruit. And Jesus tells us that the fruit of our lives, the blossom of our lives, the flower of our lives is meant to be love, that our whole purpose is meant to blossom and bear the fruit of love in our lives. He says this, you didn't choose me, remember, I chose you and put you in the world to bear fruit that won't spoil. As fruit bearers, whatever you ask the Father in relation to me, he gives you. Of course, this fruit that we are asking in Jesus' name is love. That's the purpose of our lives. That's what God will bless in our day-to-day existence to each other. And this is the singularity of our life purpose. It is not, as they say, huge bank accounts and property and attractive spouses and those sort of things. It's meant to be in how we singularly give expression to love in our day-to-day existence. Paul talks a lot about the fruit of the Spirit. He talks about love being the principal fruit of the Spirit, and how joy and peace and patience and kindness and generosity and faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, how they come through the way of love in our lives. God is but love, and therefore so am I. You know, I had a friend of mine named Bobby. He was actually at the church telling us this story last Sunday. He journeyed with his partner Elaine the last 2.5 years of her life. She had had diabetes for many years, but in that last 2.5 years, in her mid-50s, the diabetes started to go out of control and her health rapidly deteriorated. You know, it's right at the moment when she's getting sick that Bob's wondering about their relationship, about where it's going. And when she starts to get really sick, he knows he has to stay with her and take care of her. He knows what the right thing to do is. He knows what his obligation is to her, and he stays with her. But the most amazing thing in their journey together over that next 2.5 years as she became weaker and sicker and less able to care for herself is that in the midst of all this, they fell in love with each other in a new way. They had maybe in their past experienced eros and philos, but at the core of this journey towards her ultimate death, they discover agape, this deep, compassionate, loving desire to bless each other. And when she became so sick that she couldn't even take care of herself, and she thought she was just a burden on him, was at that very moment that agape love exploded into their lives with each other, and they discovered the singularity of the purpose of their existence. And both Bob and Elaine were transformed in this moment. We saw it, friends, maybe 2 months before she passed away, maybe not even that long, they got married to each other. It was unlike any ceremony I've ever seen before. It was a ceremony truly built in the deepest understandings of love in their day-to-day living with each other. And we sat back, all of us, and watched in amazement as they pledged each other this sacred life commitment, even in the midst of knowing that she was going to die very shortly afterwards. And I stand back and realize that I have so much to learn about this singularity of love, this perfect love that we call agape, and which is God, and which is also who I am this day. And I think you do too as well. And I ask you to begin to think about how you might come back home to the singularity of the purpose of love's expression in your life. How you might be the fruit bearer this day, how the blossom of love, how the fruit of love can take hold in your heart and your mind and your bodies. And when you find this beginning to take hold, when the plant begins to express its purpose through you this day, when the love and the fruit of love becomes wholesome to you, then you will know a way of life that Jesus himself calls us to. The Spirit will be alive and awake in you, and the joy and the peace of God will go with you. And I pray for all of us that we can walk this sacred journey in the Spirit of God. Go in peace.